Now let's talk about marker analysis in relating to pycnodyscystosis. So this is a rare monogenic disease characterized by dwarfism, universal osteolosis, fragile bones, and dysmorphic features, including pronounced craniofacial and dental anomalies. The disease was first described in 1962, and several factors suggested that this French painter had precisely this condition. The disease is fully penetrant and infects both sexes equally. Often only one affected individual is seen in a family, but at times two, and occasionally more affected individuals are seen in a single generation of a family. And so we have some questions we need to do here, but I'm only going to provide you guys with I'm only going to write down the answers, not the full answer, right? Of course, I'm going to provide you with my thoughts going along answering these questions. The first question is, what is the most likely inheritance patterns of pycnodyscystosis? So, well, whenever you want to do something like this, I just like to exclude things, right? And so we can exclude mitochondrial, because remember that all mitochondrial comes from the mother, and then she will make sure that all her children will have the expressed phenotype. But right here we see that only one affected individual is seen in a family typically. So it cannot be mitochondrial. It can also not be Y-linked, because remember in Y-linked, males and females, in Y-linked only males can have the expressed phenotype. But here they say that this affects both sexes equally. So it cannot be Y-linked. We can also exclude dominant altogether, because right here they're saying that only one affected individual is seen in a family typically, so one individual in a single generation of a family. So it must be autosomal recessive. It cannot be X-linked recessive, because again, males are the only ones who can have the expressed phenotype here. And so the answer is autosomal recessive. Now they're asking you, if only one affected individual is seen per family, what could be a plausible alternative explanation? Now, think about it, right? If we have autosomal recessive and we have a family, you would expect more than one person to have this disease, especially if we're talking about big family, right? The bigger the family, the more people will have the disease. And so what could be the answer here? Well, the answer is due to a de novo mutation, meaning a new mutation that spontaneously occurs. Okay. Now they ask you, or they say, this family consists of a healthy father and a healthy pregnant mother, 2 sick children, and awaits one child. What is the likelihood that the expected child in the above family will develop the disease? So whenever they ask you questions like this, they give you some information about a specific family. For your own sakes, draw the pedigree. And right here I've drawn the pedigree. We have the healthy father, the healthy mother, the 2 sick children, the child that awaits this couple. And so remember that we're talking about autosomal recessive for this disease, okay? So going back to it, let's assume that capital A is the dominant allele and little a is the recessive allele. Well, in that case, because we're talking about autosomal recessive, it will require 2 little a's for you to have the expressed phenotype. So these two have 2 little a's, and we know the father and mother do not have expressed phenotype, so they cannot have this genotype, okay? In fact, the only genotype they can have is capital A, little a, for both of them, because that is the only choice that will make them so that they could have a child with expressed phenotype, excluding this one, right? So now you do the Punnett squares, and you'll see that there is a 1 in 4 chance of them having the genotype that will make them sick, right? So the likelihood is 25% out of 100%. Now, they say that pycnodyscystosis is caused by mutations in the gene STSK, located on chromosome 1 on the Q arm, region 21. A microsatellite marker is located here, and the Knudsen family was examined for this marker, and the following genotypes were found. Now, based on marker analysis, what is the risk that the expected child will develop the disease, assuming the marker is intragenic in this CTSK gene? So remember, intragenic means basically that the marker is located inside this gene. So let's look at the expected child here. So 2-3 means or indicates that the child has one allele of type 2 and one allele of type 3, right? And so if you look here at the two children who do have the expressed phenotype, they have 2-2, right? They both have 2-2. Now the question remains, where did they get this from? Of course, from their father and mother, right? Because the mother has one and the father has one. So they are both very unfortunate that they got this allele here and this one here, making them having the disease. But this expected child has this allele and this allele, and it would require them 2 twos for them to have the expressed phenotype. So this is not sufficient for the expected child to develop the disease at all, right? Even in the case of full penetrance, right? And therefore we can say that there is a 0% probability of the expected child having the disease. Of course, he still carries the disease allele here, but he does not have 2. And since we're talking about autosomal recessive, the probability is 0% for this child, for him developing the disease. Okay. Now they ask you, would the risk change if the marker were located 10 centimorgans away from this gene? So remember, 1 centimorgan means a recombination frequency of 1%. So this must mean a recombination frequency of 10%. Okay. Now, of course, if the recombination frequency increases, this would change the risk, as there is a possibility that the marker locus and disease locus will recombine. And so you can say that if the marker and the mutated CTSK gene would be separated during the prophase in meiosis 1, it will result in the mutated CTSK gene not being inherited together with the marker, because remember, the further away they are apart from each other, the less likely of them getting inherited together. Of course, the recombination frequency would increase also. So yes, the risk would increase here. The risk would increase as there is a risk of recombination between the marker and the disease locus. So the risk increases. And the risk would increase up until 50 centimorgans, and then from there it's like independent assortment. So then it cannot, the 50 centimorgans is the maximum. Okay.